My name is Chara and I'm a writer for iBelieve and host the podcast, The Bible Never Said That, over on Life Audio. And I've just started doing this video series on God's power over sickness. Now, we know God doesn't always heal as we want him to heal, but he is in control of sickness and disease. And we cannot forget that because we need to trust him when we face sickness and disease in ourselves or in others. And sometimes it's harder when it pertains to others than ourselves. We kind of can put ourselves into the hands of God, but watching our loved ones go through sickness and disease can sometimes be even harder. So we have to still be able to trust them to God because we can't carry that weight. He knows what's going to happen and he can move, and he does have power over sickness. So we always continue to pray for those things. And then after we've prayed, we know to trust him with the result because we have asked the Father who loves us, right? But we do things as humans when we're dealing with sickness that are not always in line with our trust. So I want to look at today the story of Elijah and the widow's son. So at this point, and we're going to be in 1 Kings 17. At this point, Elijah had fled from Ahab, and he is now been cared for by the Lord in the desert. And the Lord has now told him to go to Zarephath, which belongs to Sidon, and dwell there. Behold, I have commanded a widow there to feed you. So Elijah goes, and he runs across the widow, and she's gathering sticks, and he asks her for a drink of water, and she says she's going to bring it. And as she was going to bring it, he called to her and said, "Bring me a morsel of bread in your hand." This is in verse 11 and 12. And she said, "As the Lord your God lives, I have nothing baked, only a handful of flour in a jar and a little oil in a jug. And now I am gathering a couple of sticks that I may go in and prepare it for myself and my son. Then we may eat it and die." Here she was having to trust the Lord to provide. And she didn't have a clue how that was going to happen, but God had sent Elijah. And Elijah said to her, "Do not fear, go and do as you have said, but first make me a little cake and bring it to me, and afterward make something for yourself and your son. For thus says the Lord, the God of Israel, the jar of flour shall not be spent, and the jug of oil shall not be empty until the day that the Lord sends rain upon the earth." And she went and did as Elijah said, and she and he and her household ate for many days. The jar of flour was not spent, neither did the jug of oil become empty, according to the word of the Lord that he spoke by Elijah. So we see here that God has provided miraculously for this widow and Elijah and her son. But then this happens in verse 17. After this, the son of the woman, the mistress of the house, became ill, and his illness was so severe that there was no breath left in him. And she said to Elijah, "What have you against me, O man of God? You have come to me to bring my sin to remembrance and to cause the death of my son." Here is where our humanity sometimes creeps in. We are facing sickness in ourselves or our loved ones, and we look for someone to blame. Now, yes, there are certain causes, there are things that we can do that can lead to sickness. I'm not saying that. But we don't need to be lashing out in anger at unknown sicknesses that we can't find the origin of or that we aren't understanding. We can start lashing out at the people around us. This is Elijah. He came and brought miracles, and she is saying, "This is your fault. Why do you have this against us?" Even though a couple weeks ago or sometime before, she was planning to die. So, but then we get here, and he said to her, "Give me your son." And he took him from her arms and carried him up into the upper chamber where he lodged and laid him on his own bed. And he cried to the Lord, "O Lord my God, have you brought calamity even upon the widow with whom I sojourn by killing her son?" Then he stretched himself upon the child 3 times and cried to the Lord, "O Lord, my God, let this child's life come into him again." And the Lord listened to the voice of Elijah, and the life of the child came into him again, and he revived. And Elijah took the child and brought him down from the upper chamber into the house and delivered him to his mother. And Elijah said, "See, your son lives." And the woman said to Elijah, "Now I know that you are a man of God, and that the word of the Lord in your mouth is truth." God has power over sickness. That doesn't mean we get to direct how he uses it, but we can remember that he can, and we can ask him over and over and over to move, trusting him and knowing that his word is truth.